Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Ryan Kime. I'm a former emergency physician and now holistic nutritionist working with gut health to help you change your life. Thanks for following along. This is going to be the second of a four-part series talking about my own gut health journey, and hopefully you can relate and understand and how it applies to you. I hope it brings value to your life. In the first part, last one, we talked about how there were demands of emergency medicine and I wasn't aware. I was disconnected from my body, my emotions, my food, and my intentions to ski, which would help offset some of the stress in the emergency department. I talked about how those lines were not parallel in the road and they finally met an endpoint. However, in this episode, it's called One Big Powder Season Changes Everything. I'm going to describe how I met how I reached that stopping point and what I did about it. And it was in the 2010-2011 ski season. I was about 35 years old, and this is the best skiing I'd ever done in my entire life to that point. I had the largest snowfall. It opened many lines on the mountain and created opportunities that I had never experienced before. I had skied four storms that were cumulative of over 100 inches each and just had some of the best days. It expanded my repertoire and I wanted more. However, I wasn't prepared for more. I was skiing hard, but I noticed I wasn't recovering and I sure wasn't performing like I used to. It was just too much for me. It was too big, too intense, too much volume, and I had to cut back. There were moments of the mountain joy that were really surrounded by intense days of soreness and irritability and uncomfortableness. And it became clear that I needed a new path if I wanted more days like this. And so I returned to the ER motivated, but really restless and necessary for a change. And as I was preparing for this, I thought there were really two episodes that that were the impetus for this change. One, I was caught in an avalanche slide in Silverado Canyon at Squaw Valley in that spring. It was a either March or April day. It was early afternoon. It was very warm, and I was going down through a chute, and the whole patch of snow released underneath me. I probably slid about 20, 25 yards, swimming on the top, feeling completely helpless. And I'm very lucky that I rolled up against a dead tree stump. The patch then slid down next to me. I don't think it was a terribly big one, but it was very frightening as I could have gone off a cliff that was on either side. I then skied out, immediately went down, and I started investigating avalanche course and backcountry safety. And then that led me into more aspects of skiing outside of just the resort, outside of just the carving turns that you would see one of the World Cup racers make. There's so much more to the mountain, understanding the safety and the snow science and avalanche rescue just beyond the resort. I was really interested at this point. I didn't even have a helmet. Didn't even have a helmet. So I got a helmet. And in addition to that, that wasn't the only one. I was also now taking backcountry courses. And one of them was a day trip leading us near Mount Rose in the northeast aspect of Lake Tahoe area. It was with a guide and probably four or five, half a dozen other backcountry beginner skiers. Well, over the course of the day, we had accumulated a vertical of not that much. I mean, I think it was 3,400 feet, 3,600 feet, but I was exhausted beyond the point that I had ever seen before. We had to drive back to get our cars as we carpooled. I couldn't even remember talking. I had so much cotton mouth, I couldn't even stand up. My legs are complete jelly. It was like the worst day I could ever remember on the mountain. And we had just climbed only 3,500 vertical feet, which is really not that much. It's a big day, but it's not a heroic day. And there's no reason that I would have been completely flopped. It took me several days to recover from that. So I realized that that was at the end of the season too. So I realized that whatever shape I thought I was in for ski season obviously wasn't working. My skills were not par to be on the mountain everywhere. I was not aware of any avalanche and things needed to change. Well, how does this quickly get into gut health? Because I leaned, and we're going to talk about that in the next episode. Is the gut health was really my recovery because it was the aspect that I lean into based on my performance. Yeah, the key points to emphasize here is that the season was a wake up call for me. I completely hit my limit emotionally, physically, and technically. I realized that skiing wasn't the problem. It was really my health. Each year, it got harder and harder to get in shape, and my preseason training completely lacked structure. I realized that it's probably going to take a year-round effort. And so I began looking at ways to do that. First, self-study. And one of my first mentors was a man named Paul Chek. Has nothing to do with skiing, but Paul Chek had a holistic approach to fitness and functional movement patterns. I learned a lot from him. And then eventually, over the next couple of years, I did it myself and then leaned into trainers. And now I've worked with 3 different trainers, one from British Columbia who was a strength trainer and skied. Another summer, I worked with a fitness guy from Iowa who used to be a wrestler and did a lot of body weight and calisthenics. And then the last 2 seasons, I've now been working with an elite fitness trainer from Poland, Monica, who's done bodybuilding routines with me, in addition to some ski specific exercises, as well as restructure my food and my recovery program. So that has been fantastic. It's elevated me to ways of skiing that I've never skied before. And I'm 50 years old. I just had my best year. So before we get into that, my message for you is everyone gets a wake up call. Are you listening? I wasn't listening for years. And it took an avalanche and a complete meltdown on a backcountry touring day for me to wake up. I hope that doesn't require it for you. And what matters is whether you answer them. You know, your passion, whether it's skiing, it's parenting, it's your business, it can be the reason to heal. And that's why I feel so fortunate and grateful for my skiing. It's a vehicle for me to heal. It's a way to express my love. I connect with the mountain. I love to find the soft snow. I really have no measurements or achievements I need to have, although I want to get better at everything I do and I want to learn more about the mountain. And to support that, to embrace that, I have to be, my body has to feel good. I have to be physically capable, and I wasn't. So gut health isn't just about food. Once I started learning about food, I realized that it was more about not just the food, but also your gut health. And your gut health is, as I'll explain to you, is the master key to the way you live. If your gut isn't healthy, I can't imagine your immunity, your neurochemistry, your digestion, your metabolism is anywhere near optimal. And your body can't be an afterthought if your life depends on it. So again, I put a lot of effort, year-round energy into skiing, learning I love, I share about it, and the gut health as well. It supports me. And I think that if you find a passion in your life and you see how gut health can support it, it only works complementing to reach you to your highest potential. This is something that changed my life, and as we'll get through into live stream number 4, the 4th part, I'll explain how now it's my passion and how I turned away from allopathic Western medicine and really embraced holistic nutrition and gut health as the way forward to living your best life. Thanks again. I appreciate it. I'm willing to answer any comments or questions you have. Please leave them in the chat box. I want you to have a wonderful day. Love to you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.